Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to True Talk Tuesday, the weekly show in which we talk about pretty much anything, anywhere from real estate to our local small business owners. And tonight we are going to talk to another local small business owner, Nashira Lynton. She is here tonight to talk to us. Nashira, how are you?
Hello there.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. You are with Renewed Wealth Therapy, correct?
Yes, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I'm always excited to have small business owners on because I think it's important for Lakeland to see who we have, because I don't think we know every small business. There's no way that we know all the small businesses, and I think we should be supporting small businesses a little bit more. So I want them to know who you are and what you do. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, what you about.
Yes, well, first off, I'm still new to Lakeland. I don't know if I can say that. It's been 11 months.
That's still
Can I
new.
still be new? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm officially new to Lakeland. And I'm the owner of Renewed Wealth Therapy, where I practice financial therapy. So I help professionals deal with their internal side of money. So I want you to think about how you think, how you feel, and how that affects how you behave when it comes to money. So whether you're making big decisions like purchasing a home, right? Hello, realtor. Or when you're thinking about little daily decisions, like whether it's, deciding whether you want to pay off debt or whether you want to build savings. Those are usually the typical things that I'm helping financial professionals with, but also helping them get connected to their next steps. So how to talk to their financial advisor, how to hire a bookkeeper, how to work with the realtor, how to talk to the mortgage lender. Those are some of the most emotional conversations that they're probably ever going to have when it comes to dealing with other financial professionals. So I love to help them get prepared for that and then connect them and make the referrals.
See, that's what we need too. We need somebody to make those connections for us, because I think that's part of what has been lost in our society is how we connect to people. So I love that you're there to make connections. So let's talk about one. You've been here 11 months. Where do you come from? Where were you originally?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, wow.
I spent 4 years in Houston, Texas before coming to live around the corner from my best friend of 32 years. And so it's been an exciting time. Our kids are pretty much sick of us. We act like teenagers when we're together, which is expected. But yes, so I'm originally from New York, spent some time in Houston, and now I'm here in Lakeland.
Oh, wow. So you've been with really big cities up until Lakeland. Lakeland is probably a small, like, I like to say Lakeland is a little big town, right?
Yeah.
We're a little big town.
And I used to make fun of her. She's been here for a while, and I used to be like, "Oh, I'll move there when I retire. I'll move there when I'm old." Like, I could not see myself moving to a small. I am a city girl. I love it. I always thought that's where I would be. But here I am, where I watch sunsets and rabbits come walk by my yard.
Yep.
And they're like these really big birds that scare me. And turtles.
The cranes, the sandhill cranes, the ones with the red head.
And they're turtles just walking by, just owning the land.
we just set up cameras by our bird bath, because something kept knocking over our bird bath and we couldn't figure out what was. Now, we do live out in the country. I will say that we do live out in the more countryside of Lakeland, right? So we set up the cam and found out that we have a coyote walking through our yard at night. We have a coyote. We have a regular possum. He shows up every night.
Oh my goodness.
And we also have 2 raccoons that show up every night, and they like wash their hands in the bird bath. So yeah, Lakeland's got a lot of different animals.
And they own this, and this is theirs. We are just visitors.
So I actually went up to your area one time only. My husband and I were coming back from Mystic, Connecticut, and we made the wrong turn, and we ended up in New York City. And I have never been so terrified in my life, because the traffic there, I didn't understand it. Like, it did not make any sense to me whatsoever.
It is really well, here's the thing. I didn't drive. I had multiple trains, multiple buses. And so although I have my license for years, I didn't drive. And so it's like this is all still very new to me.
Right, right.
Like that.
I think that's a thing is like when you have been in a big city like you, and you come down to what I call the little big town. There's a lot of differences between the two. So
Yeah.
relocating to Florida, what is something you would tell somebody relocating to Florida?
You know, I would say that there is something about the slow pace that for me it's been like a healing. It's been like this sense of like healing my nervous system where I'm not in a rush. And I'm genuinely one of those. We talked about this before. I'm like genuinely one of those happy persons. So when I'm walking by, I'm saying good morning to people, and so I fit right in. But it's slower in the sense where you actually get to talk to people. It's not
Right.
like I'm rushing to the next place. I'm not rushing to the job. I'm not rushing to get the kid. It's just a slower pace where I'm able to enjoy the conversation. I'm able to be more present. I appreciate these sunsets. And so I think that there's this beautiful part in life where people should enjoy a slower pace. Nothing wrong with a big city. And I think people should also try that fast pace in big city life. But there is this beautiful sense of like, "Ah, this is for me." I tell people, I'd be like, this is like a gift. Every
Yes,
sunset is like a gift.
yes. I say I say the same thing. I feel very, very connected, and just enjoy. Right. I feel joyful when I see a beautiful sunset or a beautiful sunrise. But I also, because I'm an artist, besides being a realtor, I'm an artist. And one of the things that I always look at, I'm like, look what Bob Ross made me. Ross made me. Like, it's a pretty little sunset. But yeah, it's true. I think that's 100% true. Now, I will say that when we went up north, we went to, like I said, we went to Mystic, but we also went all the way up to New Hampshire, and
Okay.
it's just beautiful up there too. Though it's a different type of beauty. But you're saying you can't even enjoy that?
You know what? I don't think that I found it even necessary to enjoy that. There's this hustle, there's this,
Yeah,
while people are taking, tourists are taking pictures and you're like coming out in people's like photos because you're like rushing to the job. I mean, I worked on Wall Street, so I'm like headed from Brooklyn to drop off the kid, to run to the city, to run back to get the kid, to run home, run to church, run to the gym. There's always this sense of like, I need to get somewhere. I need to
yeah.
hurry up. I need to, you know,
Oh, oh,
so
I
I don't think that you spend enough time enjoying things like a sunset or a really nice walk. On the flip side, it's very crowded and you live on top of people. And so it's very easy, well, easier back then. I'm pre-gentrified in New York. Very easy to make friendships. So one of the things I value is community and the strong sense of community I had since very young um, was in New York, right? There's this, people don't live that far from you.
right.
So, there's times where it's like you're in and out of people's houses all the time. You make friends, you're playing on this, outside, you're sitting on the stoop, you're hanging out, and those things I really do value and I do miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think here in Lakeland we do have that. We have community, but we also very much um, enjoy our solitude once we're in our little
Yeah.
respective sanctuaries. We're just like, call
Yeah.
me before you show up.
Exactly.
I think that is a big difference. So I want to talk about what you do for people, though, because I
Yeah.
think it's important. Um, who's your ideal client, and like, who is somebody that can come to you?
Yeah. For a really long time, I would say my ideal clients will be people in the tech industry, um, corporate. I come from a finance background. So when I first started, a lot of my clients came right out of where I just was walking out of, right? So you would think these corporate professionals, anywhere from like VP, some like middle management. I've worked with a lot of attorney, medical professionals. I want you to think people who are making what people would ideally believe is enough, right? They're these maybe on their way up to their six figures, or they already have like six figures in net worth, but they're still feeling this sense of
Right.
financial stress around the conversations, financial stress from past trauma that they haven't really healed from, right? Financial trauma spills into their new corporate life, doesn't change, things like that. And so those were ideally my clients, and they still are today. Yeah.
So what do you do for them when they come to you? Is it just a conversation about how they see money and then you develop a
Yeah.
plan to work through those things?
Yeah, so I do a combination of both. So I originally started off as an accredited financial counselor. So I do look at numbers.
Right.
They're just not the main focus they're not the star of the show. The star
Okay.
of the show is the person. And so I do a lot of internal work and intake of gathering of how they're thinking. So they'll take assessments that revolve around like, what are their core values? What do they believe about money?
Right.
Like, how was money when they first got up? Have they had any big financial traumatic experiences? And so I'm gathering intake on the internal side, but also on the external side, because really how they're thinking and how they're feeling affects how they behave with money.
Correct. I 100%. I have an old mentoring teacher. She was actually my mentor during my internship for education when I interned to be a teacher. She ended up leaving the education field as well as I did,
Yeah.
and she does very similar to what you do. So I have taken a course very similar to what you're doing, and one of the things that she was talking about was how, like, what do we think about money and those traumas behind money. And I came from a very, very, very poor background.
Yeah.
When my mom and dad divorced, it was pretty bad. It was 10, 11 years old, and my mom worked several jobs. So there were times where lights got disconnected, where we
Yeah.
didn't have enough food. She would go to food banks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
um, she'd send us away during holidays so that way we could have things. So there's those traumas, and I didn't realize until that time, like, that was part of the way that I
Yeah.
was treating money. Like, I was not behaving in a way that would accumulate wealth for myself. I was thinking the opposite. There was never going to be a way for me to ever have money because I never had money, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I am very appreciative of the programs that you do because that sounds very similar. Am I wrong?
No, no, it's it's right on the nail. And I think it's important, especially when people get to a certain level in their life, because what I tell people are, you are an expert in some area, but because you're not an expert in your finances, it comes with shame. Like, how do I have all these degrees? How can I operate on someone,
Right.
but I cannot remember to pay that bill?
Right.
It's there there's this level of vulnerability that people have to get to in order to want to work with someone who practices financial therapy.
Right.
And I want you to think about this. There are people right now who have small children, and what they don't realize, because they may be experiencing their own financial stress, right? Like
Mhm.
providing for this child, making sure this kid eats,
Yes.
that they don't even realize that their kid is already forming their own money beliefs.
Yes.
So
100%.
my parents divorced too when I was really young, and those are my first big traumatic experiences. But I also grew up with food insecurity, although we never lacked food.
Right.
But because of the stories of my mom, who came, my parents are from Panama, so they grew up also very poor. But because of all the stories over and over and how I should appreciate, I always had this sense of food insecurity. And so when you think about it, it's something that was handed over to me.
Yes.
right? It's like this third party story
Yes.
that was told to me so much, that I end up growing up with the sense of like what we call being money vigilant, where, oh my God, if I let go, oh my goodness, then we won't eat. And then what happens if we don't eat, right? And so there are young children, there are your grandkids that already are starting to listen to and pay attention to the stories that are being told about money, whether they're
Right.
being said or not said. And so these stories come into our 20s, they
Yes.
come into your relationships, they join your marriage with you. And so sometimes having someone who helps you process that, whether you're single or whether have a partner, or whether you're starting a job or you just got laid off for a job, processing those stories play a really big part on your financial health.
Absolutely.
And so that's really where I get to lock arms with people and they get to open up and trust me with that.
Right. I think that you're hitting the nail on the head when you say like it's a vulnerable thing. You have to be open to it
Yeah,
because if you're not willing to,
like
I'm like,
sitting in the
where'd
dark.
she go? Okay,
Sorry.
Marcel says hello. One of my longtime friends, Marshall. She's like,
Marshall.
I'm gonna say it again. I think I've told everybody this story, and she's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" Marcel is the reason why I was in a financial job long time ago. I
Okay,
worked for Marriott Vacation Club International, their financial services, and I
nice.
hated it. I hated it. I was also in an awful marriage. My first marriage, not good. And I remember Marshall asked me, she was like, what's going to make you happy? What's going to make you happy? And then also like I had the choice to make myself happy. And she
Mm.
also, you're talking about children learning. She's like, your children going to learn how to be happy from you. And it kind of all clicked. And I went in the next day and I put in my resignation. I'm gone.
All
I
right.
signed up for school. I signed up for college and started taking education classes so that way I could be a teacher because that's what was going to make me happy. I had wanted to be a teacher since I was like 4 years old.
I
So
love that.
because of Marshall, I went into teaching and was a teacher for almost 20 years. And I love her for it. I love that she
Aw.
encouraged me and made sure that I remembered who I was and who was going to
Yes.
see that. So, yeah, see, she's like, I love
We
it. I'm like,
we all need a Marshall in our
we
lives.
do. We
Okay, we just
do.
need it.
I love her with all my heart. I will do anything for that woman, okay?
Love it.
But like you said, like she was telling me, your children learn these things from you. They
Yeah,
learn how we think about money.
yeah,
It was, I used to say all the time to my own children, we don't have enough for that,
yeah,
right? I don't have the money for that. And
yeah.
now with my grandchildren, I'm trying to say, I don't have that yet, but I will,
Mhm.
right? So it's changing the way that they would see money, hopefully.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
there's that yet. I can still earn the money. It's not that it's done and I'm not going to be able to get to it. So
yeah.
it's that limited mindset that you were really working on, isn't it?
Yes. So it's how we phrase the story, even to ourselves, the story that we tell ourselves, because every time you say it to them, you're also saying it to you. So
Yes.
I don't have it yet. I
Yes.
don't, I had to really reframe the words that I was using when I got here because I was like, I don't have a car. So I can't meet you for coffee. So we can do a virtual. But then I started to say, well, I don't drive yet.
Right.
I don't drive yet because I don't want to put a limit on myself that's not true.
Right.
I don't want to create a story that may not be true. And so that's the same that we do with money. And I
Mhm.
see it a lot, especially with people who want to buy a home,
Yes.
right? It's like, I want to buy a home. I want to buy a home, but all my actions are the opposite direction of what I am saying. They don't even match up. So I'm going to go take this trip that I don't need to take, but I want to buy a home. I'm going to
Right.
go buy this extra car so that it can sit here and be pretty, but I don't want to buy. I want to buy a home. It's like
Right.
all these other actions don't line
It's that
up.
belief.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's that belief in like we just can't. So I'm not going to
yeah,
try. I don't know. It's been my observation that a lot of the younger generation, um, it's a weird mixture. Like some of them are like, the sky's the limit, I'm doing everything. And there's some that are very nihilistic and are like,
Yeah,
everything is bad.
yeah, yeah. I think because what they saw
Yeah,
is been bad.
yeah.
And unfortunately, we can't change what they experience. I think for me, it's like get around some people who are experiencing good. It's like I told you before this, if I want to start a podcast, who am I going to go? Who am I going to go talk to?
Other podcasters.
Exactly.
Come on now.
It's like if everything is bad, get around some people where good things are happening, and that requires being intentional, right? You
Right.
just you don't stumble right into something that's the opposite of what you just been looking for.
I think it was Harvard that recently came out with a study that showed that something that I have sincerely believed for over 20 years, the belief that if I think it, it will happen. Now, the beginning part of that 20 years, that's anxiety riddled Shalisa, all right? And if you can't think of this because if you think of this, it's going to happen, so don't think about it, right?
Yeah,
Now I'm like, okay, if I want it, I think about it all the time.
yeah,
And that opens my brain up. According to Harvard, that actually opens up your brain to seeing the pathway to that thing. It actually
it's
is it's a
experiencing it.
chemical. Yeah, the brain is amazing. I don't like
It is.
the brain's crazy and I love
It
it.
is.
Like,
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I studied was this lady called Dr. Leaf, Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she talks a lot about renewing the mind. And this process of that, we are able to change our mind. And I use it in finance,
yeah,
where I have people, they take an assessment about core beliefs. And I have some really like just a list of core beliefs that are either like far-sighted. So like I believe money is power, or people with money are bad. Some real far
mhm,
extremes, right?
yep,
And they have to rate it 1 to 10. And so we would go over some of the strongest ones that they label. And really, the idea is, well, is this true? Right. And we try to find, is that actually true for them? Or were there experiences that reinforce that belief? And is that belief getting in the way of them experiencing financial health? And mind you, I keep saying financial health because I don't think it's all about being wealthy. Wealthy people are not necessarily happy from what I've learned and the people that I've spoken to.
right,
They can have wealth and be extreme financial stress.
right,
And so I do think that there's a level to financial health that the brain plays one of the biggest parts.
right.
How do you have poor people, but they're experiencing so much joy and so much happiness? It's mainly because they're living according to their core values, right? They have these core values and core beliefs that they actually live by. And
Right.
so how do we get people who, yeah, they may not have everything, they may not own the house, or they may not have all the things they need to check off a box to say that they are wealthy, but how do we get them to still be experiencing financial health? And so
Right.
that's really what the goal is for me. Like my mission is to send financial stress to hell. And so that's the tagline
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
ultimate goal.
I I used to tell my students, and if any of them are watching, you guys can chime in here. But I used to tell my students that success is different for everybody. And we didn't attach success to wealth because somebody can be successful and have no money, right? But they're, like you said, they're living the goals and their values the way that they want to live them, right? And
Yeah.
everybody gets to determine their own success. Everybody
Mhm.
gets to determine what brings them joy and how that
Mhm.
looks. And we don't have to look exactly alike and we don't have to have all the money in the world to have it, right? It is
Yeah.
just that. And so I'm glad that that's something that you're talking about too. So I wasn't in the wrong telling my kids that.
We are on the same page.
Good, good. So,
Yeah.
it was a struggle with the kids in school because they were all supposed to be on the same benchmark. And so you've got a lot. And I think that's when we were talking about there's a 50-50 mix of these kids where some
Mhm.
of them believe that they can buy a house and some of them believe they cannot. I think that
Yeah.
comes from this push to everybody being on the same page and everybody having to pass the same test,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
us, the older clients, maybe you can let me in on this one. Do you find that your older clients are easier to talk to and they're easier to kind of deprogram, or do you think they're harder?
Um, I think it just depends on the age. So there is like, let's say boomers.
Okay.
Let's just say whatever. I find that boomers are a little bit more harder for me to work with. I think
Okay.
it's more because they needed to have a fixed mindset to survive their generation.
Right. Right.
And so it's really hard to take that fixed mindset. I mean, it's a lot of work. We won't be here for a while. That's what I've experienced in my own personal
Right.
like walk alongside people. I think that then there's this other group of people where they're more flexible because I feel like they've experienced a little bit of hardship already. And not that I don't like a younger generation, it's just harder for me to connect with a younger
Yes.
generation
Yeah.
because I feel like they may be too far of the extreme. They're either all in or they're not in at all. And so,
I will say I do love our younger generation because
yeah.
of that. They're either all in or not. And I appreciate that with them, but I understand how
I
hard
have one of them. You can have them. You want them?
yeah, I understand how hard it is to kind of
Yeah,
go, okay, hold on, all right. Let me tell you
yeah,
why we're doing this, okay?
yeah, yeah. Like let's work the plan.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
but
Stick with the
there's this group where they're a little bit more flexible to see what's possible,
right,
right? They're willing to try something long enough to see if this is actually something that they would stick with.
right.
And so I'm gonna say it's like that in between.
I've always wondered that. Is there an age group that seems to be more, you
Yeah,
know, they're more willing to kind of take the
yeah.
coaching and go from there? I know that my age group, Gen X, we are the worst. We are the worst. I will absolutely say we are the worst because we are probably along the same lines as boomers, where we're like, but it's not that we're pinpointing on certain things, like certain things have to be certain way. I think for
Yeah.
Gen X, it's all shame. I think it's shame around
Mm,
money. And so we don't talk about money. Um,
yeah,
a lot of us grew up with,
yeah,
divorced parents. Like Gen X kids were the latchkey kids, right? We learned how to make
yeah,
peanut butter and jellies on our own, right? That kind of thing.
yeah. That's
So
true. You
I think,
know, I'm gonna say this because I spoke. It was like a mom connected me with her daughter. Her daughter's about to graduate college, and she was like in her 20s, probably like 22. And most of the conversation was around shame. And this was like maybe about 4 or 5 months ago.
yeah,
And I just thought the 44-year-old that I had the conversation the day before was dealing with shame, and you're dealing with shame, and you're only 22. But her mom had taught her a lot. But because she didn't catch what the mom was saying, she felt a lot of shame. So she couldn't talk to her mom about it. So her mom connected me with her. And I feel like shame is like this universal thing where it's like we all have our reasons for it, right?
right.
We all have our personal story and our personal experience. But I think a lot of it comes from what we perceive someone else is going to think of us.
Right.
Not so
Right.
much just about ourselves, right? It's like, what is this person going to think when they find out that I did this? Or, I have people who are flat out like they know me and they'll be like, I can never work with you because if you ever saw the things that I spent on, and I would be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I,
shame.
and it's just, these all come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
They're all handed down and given to us. Um, we were talking before we went live about I'm very passionate about audacious authenticity, right?
Yeah.
I think that's part of, like you said, we don't want people to see us. We often feel like we can't be our true selves, we can't be our authentic selves. So it's very hard to get vulnerable and look at, okay, this is the way I think. This is the way. My son and I were actually having a conversation about that. My son is 25, and He thinks very much like me. We're very introspective people, right? We're like, we'll see a pattern that we do, and we're like, why do I do that, right?
Yes.
Talked about that, and we're like, that's not a normal thing that most people do. And he's beginning to understand that. And I have learned that over my lifetime, that most people don't sit down and look at their own patterns. Do you think that's true, or do you think we were far off base?
No, I think that's absolutely. I look at patterns. I feel like when my brain was being designed, it was like, hey, let's find patterns for no reason. Uh, you know, I understand this concept of, wanting to protect yourself. I think I had my period in life where everything was about protecting me, protecting these kids that I was raising by myself. So you do put on some sort of performance. You do put on some sort of mask, right? But I think that one of the things I learned in financial therapy is the incongruency, right? So, for example, one of my core values is community.
Mm-hmm.
So during the pandemic, where no community, right, except virtually, and I think ideally for someone who, I worked on Wall Street, so for someone who was always outside, I really never lived in the place that I paid rent. It's
Right.
like I just went there to sleep. So when you think about like being home all the time, ideally it sounds great in the beginning. But what I found after year one, year two, it started to affect my mental health. And so as I was working with a therapist, it was really because I was living incongruent to what I valued. There
Right.
was this you're like, I love community, no community, no community.
Right.
So all you feel is the sense of stress, the sense of discontentment, and so, when we're not living to our true selves, right? If I tell you dye your hair and you dye it black just to please me, then what? Right? You're gonna be miserable. You're not, you probably still have your beautiful, bubbly personality, but
Right.
you won't be living incongruent with what you value of how you want to show up. And so I see it all the time with money, but not only money, but the things that are attached to it. So, when I'm working with someone and they're coming out of a divorce, and yes, their goal is to, like, they want to be, let's say, remarried, or they want to, but now they have all this financial pressure, all this financial stress.
Yeah.
And so they're like, no, I can't do that. But now they're miserable and money won't fix it,
No.
right? It would be if they started to live the way that they chose to live,
Yeah.
or they really desire to live, I should say. But they attach this, oh, it's because of money. And
Right.
it's really not.
Right.
Right. And so there's this disconnect between, that's why I start with core values. Like literally, it's the first assessment that people take when they come.
Right.
It's like, I need to know who you are and what you value, so that when we're making a plan, if your values don't show up in the plan, then it's the wrong plan for you. And
Right.
so that's where we start.
I Well, Nashira, we're at the end here, and we could talk forever, I think, you and I.
I can see
So
this.
we're definitely gonna have to have you on again, all right? Because I like, yes, yes, you and I, same page, all right?
Yes.
So how can people find you? I know that you said you were on LinkedIn, so what's your handle on LinkedIn?
So it's Nashira Lynton on
Okay.
LinkedIn. That's my favorite playground. So if you guys really want to hang out with me, just come on over, especially you Facebook people and YouTube people. Yeah, I do spend a lot of time, chatting, connecting on LinkedIn. I do have a Facebook, which is not my name, but I'm still figuring it out. I'm there anyways. And besides that, if you are in Lakeland and you would like to grab coffee, I'm here for it. Sign me up.
All right. All right. Nashira, thank you so very much for coming on and getting, talking to everybody and letting everybody know who you are and what you can do for them here in Lakeland. And I am very appreciative that you decided to move here. All right. Because hopefully I get to see you Thursday. By the way, Nashira and I
Yes.
are both part of Polk County Women Mean Business. So
Yeah.
I love seeing her when she gets to be there. She's a busy woman, so not always there, but I understand. All right.
Yeah.
But thank you so very much. And
Thank
for
you
all
so much
your,
for having me.
no problem, no problem. And again, we're gonna have to do it again. All right.
Yes.
And to everybody else, I will see you next time. And as always, be happy, be safe, and know that I love you, because people can hate for no reason. I can love you for no reason. All right, my friends.
Bye, friends.